Well, first of all, let me thank you for having me, and thank you for listening. If this took place in the United States, there would assuredly have been a brawl. Assuredly, especially the last panel. The question, what struck me about the last panel was how the issues of identity came to bear and what role they played, the logical issues. I'd like to approach this a little bit differently with regard to America's role and the possibilities for peace. Now, to begin with, I think that there's an incredible optimism with regard to Senator Kerry's proposals. Be careful. And I mean be careful in the following way. This is a situation that I think has emerged as follows. First of all, in the United States, foreign policy is a completely secondary issue. It's lowest on all polls in elections. The thing that comes closest is civil liberties, but we'll leave that aside. What Senator Kerry has been able to do is part of a larger picture. And here I think in the United States is a critique of President Obama from the left is misguided. I think we're in a moment where we're witnessing a qualitative change in American foreign policy from that of Bush. Now, I know somebody will bring up the drones, someone else will bring up the maintenance of Guantanamo, which, by the way, President Obama can't close without Congress. So that's a red herring. You can make a case about Libya, and many people, such as Chris Hedges and any number of others, have criticized President Obama for not coming out more strongly against or in support of the Palestinians. Now, here's why I think this is misguided. It seems to me that, first of all, President Obama's foreign policy has rejected the old axis of evil argument from President Bush. It's also rejected the idea of the preemptive strike, and what we see is an understanding of violence, so to speak, as a last resort. I think that there's been a qualitative shift in American policy towards Afghanistan and Iraq. It's been a remarkable achievement of President Obama, and I mean remarkable, to have kept the United States from going to war in Syria and from bombing Iran. Now, the new move on Israel, I think, fits into this new policy, which has to be understood, I think, in the first instance, that President Obama is not working with a majority. He's clear, I think he's the first actually president in quite a while who has actually thought about the national interest. The reality of the situation is that the Congress and the Senate don't. There's an old saying in American politics, all politics is local. And that's completely right. And this is, I think, where the question of Israel, if it fits in at all, it fits in here. When we think of AIPAC, the first thing anybody thinks about is money. That's a mistake. It's not about money. Actually, the evangelicals give more money to Israel than AIPAC does. So what is it about then? It's about voting. The fact of the matter is that in all the significant states for presidential votes and the like, Jews make up a significant minority. I'm not saying a super minority, but a significant minority, especially in the cities. Arab representation, Islamic representation, virtually doesn't exist. I would like somebody in the audience to tell me, outside of moral considerations, why any congressman should come out against Israel. It's political suicide. Plus, it's political suicide for no reason, because there's no gain to it. Which leads us to the following situation. Those who have moved on the Middle East, President Obama, President Kerry, often his sincerity is highlighted, and I think that's true, because this policy is being carried with regard to roughly a third of the Congress and the electorate. We have the illusion in Europe, this is particularly bad in Germany, that there's a fight simply between Republicans and Democrats. The Republicans are reactionary, the Democrats are progressive. This is a complete oversimplification, because in the United States, at least 1/3 of the Democratic Party is composed of what we call either blue dog Democrats, and they're quite conservative themselves. There's something else, though. So this is bad enough. We have a Tea Party and a Republican Party, which has about 45%, which got 45% of the vote, moving, so to speak, in a complete pro-Israeli situation. The discussion that took place before and what I've seen here is much too tame. It's much too tame. The right wing in the United States, and I suggest you have a look at the Washington Post blogger, Jennifer Rubin, who is legendary in the United States. This is for the Washington Post. That's a very, very big paper. She speaks of the Palestinians as animals. I did a TV show, and my opposite was somebody from Fox News. And we were talking about Iran, and the woman said to me, "Oh, what are you doing? Why are you supporting Iran? Israel is our friend. Iran isn't our friend." I said, well, Netanyahu's no friend of mine, but apparently that didn't go over that well. The point being is that this is an extremely difficult process, and added to the problem is liberal Jews and liberal Jewish organizations. Anything that's going to be done with regard to Israel, and the only thing that's actually meaningful is cutting the aid to Israel. It's not that Israel is wagging the American dog, is the tail wagging the dog. The United States is giving tons and tons of money and arms to Israel, and it has been doing so. And the question is why? And I think there's a very simple answer why. Because the gains, the political gains for politicians is real, and the disadvantages are nil. If there were to be a cut in funds in the United States for Israel, it would have to go through the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, which used to be run by Senator Kerry. Now it's run by Senator Chuck Schumer, and this is in the Senate, which is progressive. Senator Schumer is progressive on every single issue that I can think of except Israel. Dianne Feinstein in California, senator, progressive on every possible issue you can come up with except Israel. Yeah. And doing something without those two figures would be virtually impossible. And so we have the Obama situation. How do we get to the one meaningful issue? I mean, I support BDS in a way. I think it was very poorly framed. But I mean, really, to think that this is bringing about a shift in American public opinion, that's not happening. You have one or two academic organizations which have come out in support. One is American Studies. What they have to do with Israel, I don't know anyway. Immediately after that decision, 600 presidents of universities came out with a position opposing BDS. I'm the faculty advisor for it at Rutgers. You know, that's okay, solidarity and all that. But here is the bottom line, I think, and perhaps BDS can help a little bit. There's an old story from President Roosevelt when he was doing the New Deal. And some of you, well, old enough to remember, that the New Deal was pushed by strikes. There were strikes going on all over in the United States. President Roosevelt brought leaders of the unions, also leaders of the Communist and Socialist Party, which is not known, into a meeting. And he said, you want the New Deal? Make me do it. Make me do it. That is the situation that Obama is in. Until there's some movement that's serious and not equivocal, unless there's that movement to put pressure, the only thing that keeps President Obama and Senator Kerry going is goodwill. And that is going to run out at election time. So there's no substitute here for organization from below. And the kind of activity that so many of you are involved in, it doesn't exist in the United States, but that's where it's got to begin. So don't create illusions for yourselves. And the attempt to draw America out of the Middle East, so to speak, in Iraq, in Afghanistan and the like, that's the opportunity for the international community to go in. And I think that has to be done by the international community, not by America leading the international community. Thank you very much.
Thank you.